Henderson Field, Guadalcanal, 2200 hours. In the suffocating darkness of the Solomon Islands, Private Robert Young Deere of the 164th Infantry Regiment checks his M1 Garand rifle one final time. His unit had arrived on the island just 11 days earlier on October 13th, becoming the first U.S. Army formation to engage in offensive operations against the Japanese. Now in positions alongside Marines still armed with bolt-action Springfield rifles, the soldiers of the 164th gripped their semi-automatic weapons, 8 rounds loaded in each en-bloc clip. Through the oppressive humidity and the cacophony of nocturnal insects comes a sound that freezes the blood of every American soldier. Thousands of Japanese troops beginning their charge screaming, "Banzai and Totsugeki," at the top of their lungs. Among the attacking force, Lieutenant Kenji Yamamoto of the 29th Infantry Regiment leads his platoon forward. His Type 38 Arisaka rifle with its exceptionally long 31.44 in barrel proving unwieldy in the dense undergrowth. The 5-round internal magazine has been loaded with 6.5 x 50mm Arisaka rounds, each one requiring him to work the bolt action to chamber up, back, forward, down. Behind him, some newer troops carry the Type 99 rifle chambered in the more powerful 7.7 by 58mm cartridge, but still bolt action, still limited to 5 rounds before reloading with stripper clips. What happens in the next 12 hours of savage combat will demonstrate why American infantry possessed an overwhelming advantage in firepower that the Japanese never anticipated. The technological gap between the semi-automatic M1 Garand and the bolt-action Arisaka rifles would prove as decisive as any tactical doctrine, revealing how industrial innovation and mass production could determine the outcome of infantry combat in the world's first truly modern war. The battle about to unfold at Henderson Field would showcase a fundamental truth of the Pacific War. While Japanese soldiers displayed extraordinary courage and determination, they were handicapped by rifle technology that belonged to the previous war. The M1 Garand's semi-automatic action, 8-round capacity, and powerful 3006 Springfield cartridge gave American forces a rate of fire and stopping power that Japanese infantry armed with bolt-action Arisaka rifles simply could not match. This disparity in small arms capability would be multiplied across thousands of engagements throughout the Pacific theater, from the steaming jungles of New Guinea to the volcanic ash of Iwo Jima, contributing significantly to the eventual American victory. The M1 Garand emerged from the mind of Canadian-American designer John Garand, who began work at Springfield Armory in 1919. After 17 years of development, testing, and refinement, the U.S. Army officially adopted his design on January 9, 1936, making America the first nation to issue a semi-automatic rifle as standard equipment to its infantry forces. The rifle fired the powerful DO-306 Springfield cartridge, launching a 150-grain M2 ball projectile at 2,085 FTS from its 24-in barrel, generating 2,056 FTLB of muzzle energy. The genius of Garand's design lay in its gas-operated rotating bolt system. A small portion of propellant gas was tapped from a port near the muzzle, driving an operating rod that cycled the action automatically. Each pull of the trigger fired 1 round with the gas pressure automatically ejecting the spent case and chambering the next round without any manual intervention from the shooter. A trained soldier could accurately fire between 40 and 50 aimed shots per minute, compared to the 15 to 20 rounds per minute achievable with a bolt-action rifle. The 8-round en-bloc clip inserted from above into the fixed magazine could be reloaded in under 3 seconds by a practiced rifleman. The development process had not been without challenges. Early prototypes used a primer-actuated system that proved unreliable. The rifle was originally designed for the .276 Pedersen cartridge, but General Douglas MacArthur intervened in 1932, insisting on retention of the .30-36 Springfield round to utilize existing ammunition stockpiles. This decision delayed production, but ultimately proved fortuitous as the powerful .306 cartridge provided excellent long-range performance and stopping power. The Arisaka rifles trace their lineage to Colonel Narakira Arisaka's original Type 30 design of 1897, developed to replace the inadequate Murata rifles then in service. By World War II, Japanese forces primarily fielded 2 variants, the Type 38, adopted in 1905, and the Type 99, introduced in 1939, 99th year of the Japanese calendar. The Type 38 fired the 6.5 50mm semi-rimmed cartridge with a 139-grain bullet at 2500 ft-pers, generating approximately 1650 ft-lb of muzzle energy. The Type 99 used the more powerful 7.7 58mm cartridge, firing a 182-grain bullet at 2400 ft-pers with 2300 tlb of energy. Both Arisaka variants were bolt-action rifles with 5-round internal magazines loaded via 5-round stripper clips. The Type 38's exceptional 31.4 in barrel length made it one of the longest infantry rifles ever fielded, contributing to excellent long-range accuracy, but proving extremely cumbersome in jungle combat, where engagement distances rarely exceeded 100 yards. The Type 99 with its shorter 25.9 in barrel was more manageable, but arrived too late to fully replace the Type 38 in service. The Arisaka action itself was remarkably strong. Post-war testing proved it stronger than the American Springfield, British Lee Enfield, or German Mauser actions. The rifles featured an innovative safety mechanism that could be operated silently, and the bolt design incorporated a gas escape system to protect the shooter in case of a ruptured cartridge case. However, these engineering achievements could not overcome the fundamental limitation of manual bolt operation in an era of increasing firepower. The industrial disparity between America and Japan became starkly apparent in rifle production figures. Between 1936 and 1945, American factories produced approximately 5.4 million M1 Garand rifles. Springfield Armory led production with 3.5 million rifles, while Winchester Repeating Arms Company contributed 13,180 rifles. International Harvester and Harrington and Richardson would add additional production during the Korean War. Peak production at Springfield Armory reached 1,000 rifles per day by January 1944, with Winchester achieving 600 rifles daily at their height. This massive output ensured that virtually every American infantry soldier and Marine in the Pacific carried the semi-automatic rifle by mid-1943. The U.S. military's allocation system prioritized combat units, with the Marine Corps receiving 22,000 M1 Garands per month in early 1943, despite their initial reluctance to adopt the rifle. By the end of fiscal year 1942, the Marine Corps possessed 62,186 M1 Garands, though not all had reached frontline units. Japanese production presented a starkly different picture. From 1905 to 1945, Japan manufactured approximately 3 million Type 38 rifles across multiple arsenals, including Koshiawa, later Tokyo, Kakura, Nagoya, and Mokdan Arsenal in occupied Manchuria. Type 99 production from 1939 to 1945 reached roughly 3.5 million units manufactured at 9 different arsenals, including 2 outside Japan proper, Mukden in Manchukuo and Jinsen in Korea. Despite these substantial numbers totaling over 6 million rifles, Japan never achieved the production rates necessary to fully modernize their infantry arms. Many second-line troops, garrison forces, and naval infantry units still carried Type 38 rifles at war's end, creating logistics complications with 2 different ammunition types in use. American M1 Garand production maintained remarkably consistent quality throughout the war. Springfield Armory's quality control procedures rejected any rifle that failed to group within 5 and at 100 yards. Interchangeability of parts between rifles from different manufacturers was strictly enforced through detailed specifications and gauging requirements. A damaged M1 Garand could be repaired in the field using parts salvaged from other rifles regardless of manufacturer. The adoption of improved heat treatment processes in 1942 actually increased receiver strength over pre-war production. The finishes evolved for practicality rather than economy. The switch from blued steel to parkerizing improved corrosion resistance in tropical environments. Walnut stocks gave way to birch and other hardwoods due to walnut shortages, but functionality never suffered. Late war simplifications included stamped trigger guards replacing milled ones, but these changes were thoroughly tested to ensure reliability. Japanese manufacturing quality, conversely, deteriorated markedly as the war progressed. Early Type 99 rifles featured remarkable innovations: chrome-lined barrels, actually the first military rifle with this feature, anti-aircraft sights with folding arms for leading aerial targets, dust covers to protect the action, and integral wire monopods for stability. The finish was a deep blue, and stocks were made from quality Japanese hardwood with precise inletting. By 1944, These refinements had vanished under production pressure and material shortages. Last-ditch rifles exhibited rough machining marks, simplified fixed rear sights to eliminate the complex ladder sight, wooden butt plates, replacing metal, and inferior wood with poor fitting. Some final production rifles lacked even basic finishing with visible tool marks on all metal surfaces. The chrome lining disappeared as chromium became scarce, monopods were eliminated, and even the imperial chrysanthemum marking became crudely stamped rather than precisely rolled. The M1 Garand semi-automatic action provided multiple tactical advantages beyond simple rate of fire. After each shot, the soldier maintained his sight picture and cheek weld while the rifle automatically cycled. This meant faster target reacquisition and more accurate follow-up shots. The operating rod, driven by gas pressure tapped near the muzzle, cycled with sufficient force to function reliably, even when fouled with mud, sand, volcanic ash, or carbon buildup from extended firing. The N-block clip system, while sometimes criticized for its distinctive ejection ping that allegedly alerted enemies the rifle was empty, actually provided the fastest reload of any contemporary military rifle. A trained soldier could reload in under 3 seconds versus 5 to 7 seconds for a skilled user, working with stripper clips on a bolt-action rifle. The clip ejection also provided immediate tactile and audible confirmation that the rifle was empty, preventing the confusion that could occur with rifles that didn't indicate an empty magazine. The M1's weight of 9.5 lb, while heavy by modern standards, helped manage the substantial recoil of the .36 cartridge, enabling rapid, accurate follow-up shots. The rifle's length of 43.6 in was well balanced with weight distributed between the heavy barrel and solid wood stock. The two-stage military trigger, while not match grade, provided consistent performance that soldiers could master with training. The Arisaka rifles, despite their robust construction and theoretical accuracy, suffered from inherent limitations of bolt-action operation that became critical in Pacific combat. After each shot, the soldier had to manually cycle the bolt through 4 distinct movements, rotating the bolt handle upward, pulling it fully rearward to extract and eject the spent case, pushing it forward to strip a fresh round from the magazine and chamber it, then rotating the handle down to lock. This process broke the shooter's firing position, disrupted sight alignment, and required 2 to 3 seconds even for a well-trained soldier. The Type 38's extreme length of 50.3 in made it particularly unsuitable for jungle warfare. Japanese soldiers found the rifle catching on vines, difficult to swing onto targets in dense vegetation, and nearly impossible to use effectively in bunkers or fortified positions. The long barrel, while providing excellent long-range accuracy with minimal bullet drop, was a liability when combat ranges rarely exceeded 100 yards and often occurred at conversational distances. The 5-round magazine capacity meant Japanese soldiers had to reload 60% more often than Americans to fire the same number of rounds. Loading via stripper clips required opening the bolt, positioning the clip correctly, pressing the rounds down into the magazine while withdrawing the clip, then closing the bolt. A process taking 5 to 7 seconds under ideal conditions and much longer under combat stress or in awkward firing positions. The 3306 Springfield cartridge used by the M1 Garand was already standard throughout the U.S. military for the M1903 Springfield rifle, M1917 Browning machine gun, M1919 Browning machine gun, and Browning automatic rifle. This commonality simplified logistics immensely. A single ammunition type could supply rifles, automatic rifles, and machine guns. The cartridge's rimless design fed reliably from clips, belts, and magazines. American ammunition production was staggering. The Lake City Army ammunition plant alone could produce 200 million rounds annually by 1943. Frankfurt Arsenal, Denver Ordnance Plant, and other facilities added hundreds of millions more rounds. Quality control ensured consistent ballistics. M2 ball ammunition maintained a velocity variation of less than 40 ft/s between lots. Japanese forces faced a more complex ammunition situation. Units equipped with Type 38 rifles required 6.5x 50 meters semi-rimmed ammunition, while those with Type 99s needed 7.7x 58 mm rounds. The 6.5 mm round, while generating less recoil and allowing soldiers to carry more ammunition, proved inadequate against covered positions and lacked stopping power. The 7.7 mm round addressed these deficiencies but created a dual supply requirement. This two-caliber system created persistent logistics problems. Documented instances include the 23rd Infantry Regiment on Guadalcanal receiving 7.7mm ammunition for their Type 38 rifles, rendering both weapons and ammunition useless. Similar mix-ups occurred during the Philippines campaign and on isolated island garrisons. The semi-rimmed design of the 6.5mm cartridge occasionally caused feeding problems in tropical conditions, where ammunition became corroded. When the U.S. Army's 164th Infantry Regiment, a North Dakota National Guard unit, arrived at Guadalcanal on October 13, 1942, they brought with them something the Marines desperately wanted: M1 Garand rifles. The Marines, still armed primarily with M1 903 Springfield bolt-action rifles, watched with a mixture of envy and skepticism as the Army soldiers unloaded their semi-automatic weapons. During the climactic battle for Henderson Field on October 24 to 25, 1942, the advantages became undeniably clear. Staff Sergeant Mitchell Page, though a Marine armed with a machine gun rather than a rifle, fought alongside soldiers of the 164th and witnessed their firepower firsthand. Private First Class James Cass of Company M, 164th Infantry, later recalled, "The Japs came at us in waves, barely visible in the darkness except for the glint of their bayonets. With our Garands, we could put 8 rounds into them before they covered 30 yards. Each man was like a machine gun section. We'd fire, the rifle would cycle itself, and we'd fire again. No working a bolt, no breaking our sight picture. Just squeeze, boom, 8 times before reloading." The 164th companies were fed into the line piecemeal as the Japanese attack developed, reinforcing Marine positions that were beginning to buckle. The devastating semi-automatic fire from the fresh Army troops helped stabilize the line. Colonel Bryant Moore, commanding the 164th, reported that his men expended over 250,000 rounds of .30 caliber 06 ammunition in the 2-day battle. Japanese bodies stacked up in front of positions held by the 164th, many killed by the rapid, accurate fire of M1 Garands. Marine Private Robert Leckie, who would later write the memoir Helmet for My Pillow, observed the Army troops in action. "We thought they were green, these dog faces with their newfangled rifles, but when the Japs charged, those Garands spoke with a voice we'd never heard before. It was like a continuous roar, not the sporadic crack of our Springfields." Sergeant Masao Watanabe of the 29th Infantry Regiment, 2nd Division Sendai, survived the October offensive at Guadalcanal. In his post-war memoir discovered in Japanese military archives, he wrote, "We were told the Americans were soft, that our Yamato spirit would overcome their material advantages. Our officers assured us that one Japanese soldier was worth 10 Americans. But when we charged their lines that October night, it was like running into a wall of lead. Every American soldier seemed to have an automatic weapon. Our Arisaka rifles, which we operated the same way our fathers had in the Russo-Japanese War, felt like antiques. We would fire once, work the bolt while taking cover, then fire again. In that same time, the Americans had already fired 4 or 5 rounds." Watanabe noted that Japanese tactics developed against Chinese forces, often armed with older weapons or limited ammunition, proved suicidal against American firepower. The banzai charge that had scattered Chinese conscripts melted away before American rifles that never seemed to stop firing. "We could not get close enough to use our bayonets. Our supposed advantage in spirit and close combat meant nothing when we were shot down 50 mailers from their lines." Lieutenant Hiroshi Takahashi of the 230th Infantry Regiment provided another perspective in a letter found on his body. "The American automatic rifles are devastating. Each soldier can fire as fast as our light machine guns. When we advance, it sounds like we are attacking a position defended entirely by machine guns. Our men fall before they can work their rifle bolts for a second shot." At Cape Gloucester in December 1943, Marines of the 1st Marine Division, now fully equipped with M1 Garands after their earlier experience on Guadalcanal, landed in torrential rain on New Britain. Private First Class Eugene Sledge, author of With the Old Breed, later wrote about the M1's performance in the horrific conditions. "That Garand was the most reliable piece of equipment we had. In rain that came down like waterfalls, in mud that sucked at you like quicksand, that rifle kept firing. The Japs with their bolt actions couldn't match our rate of fire. When they tried to set up positions in the jungle, we could put so much lead into the trees that leaves would fall like rain." Marine Sergeant John Basilone, who would earn the Medal of Honor on Guadalcanal, primarily for his actions with machine guns, also carried an M1 Garand as his personal weapon. He noted, "The Garand gave every Marine the firepower of 3 men with bolt-action rifles. In the jungle, where you might only get a glimpse of the enemy for a second or two, being able to fire multiple shots without working a bolt meant the difference between killing him or him escaping to kill you later." During the Battle of Saipan in June 1944, the largest banzai charge of the Pacific War saw over 3,000 Japanese soldiers assault American lines in a desperate pre-dawn attack. On July 7th, Private First Class Harold Agar Holm of the 4th Marine Division, armed with his M1 Garand, helped repel the massive assault. Corporal John Miller recalled, "The Japs came at us shoulder to shoulder screaming like banshees. Our Garands never stopped firing. As fast as we could pull the trigger, we fired. The ping of empty clips ejecting was constant like some deadly music. The Japs with their bolt actions couldn't match our volume of fire. They'd get one,